My hair just doesn't like it. Hey there, Heather. Hello there. Jeff Cutter Diamond with me to a very impromptu stream of a big video. And today we are going to be looking at Scotland being in the World Cup and all that. A lot of shock. I mean, trust me, I am really shocked that the Scottish team is in the World Cup and all that. So we're going to go over the UEFA qualification. We're going to go over all the teams that have qualified now as of November 18th, because I think that's the cutoff date for teams to automatically qualify, and then come the Interconfederation playoffs. So we'll settle that later on and all that. So just getting myself set up. Yeah, the qualification. Oh, I did have that thing. All right, so I'm just going on my phone too, like, onto YouTube, so that when I share the screen and all that it actually works out. So we'll see about that. Okay, so let's just share screen if I can. Okay, so 2026 qualification, share. See if it works. Okay, so let's just share screen if I can. Okay, so 2026 qualification, share. See if it works. Does not look like it's going to work. So I don't know why. It's just stupid. Okay, so 2026. It never does that. If it works. Oh, gotta be kidding me. Does not look like it's gonna work. So I don't know why. Okay, so 2026 never does that. If it works. Oh, gotta be kidding me. Does not look like it's gonna work. So I don't know why. Yeah. It never does that for some effed up reason. It just doesn't do that. Okay, I'll have to tell it to you without visuals, which is stupid. But all right, so the 2026 World Cup qualification decides the 45 teams that will join Canada, Mexico, and the U.S. at the World Cup. Because for the first time ever, 3 nations get to share the World Cup qualification, the World Cup sharing and all that. It had not happened for 2 countries to share World Cup matches till 2002 when Japan and South Korea did, and I don't know who would have won the World Cup qualification bid if those 2 countries didn't just share and all that. Obviously, FIFA won it in Asia for the first time ever, because 06 was in Deutschland, 2010 was South Africa, 2014 was Brazil, and then it was Russia 2018 and Qatar 2022. So So we have 3 first-time qualifiers automatically. Cape Verde, Jordan, not the name of my buddy Jordan Kappa, and Uzbekistan. Uzbekistan, I think, has had some great success in the Asian Cup and all that. Jordan's been always close, and Cape Verde, well, they're small. We have 45 teams joining the 3 teams. So Canada, Mexico, and the U.S., I think they all would have qualified anyhow. So Canada, this will be their 3rd time qualifying for the World Cup. The previous 2 were group stage bubbles in 86 and 2002. Mexico qualified for the 18th time. They've actually, contrary to popular belief, they've actually missed the 1990 World Cup because of fielding overagers. I think, they were booted from 1990 for qualifying. They qualified in 94, right? Yeah, Mexico qualified in 94. In 1990, they qualified. They would have qualified anyhow. I think if Mexico didn't get in trouble for fielding those overagers, I think the Americans probably would have won would have been out of luck in the 1990 World Cup. Well, anyway, the Americans, they're 12-time qualifying for the World Cup. They took third in 1930, but that was way different, 100 plus years, almost 100 years ago. Mexico, their best start with quarterfinals in both 70 and 86, hosting the event. Japan, their 8th time qualified. They haven't been to the quarterfinals. They've been to 4 round of 16 matches, including that loss in 2018 to Belgium, which they had Belgium on the ropes 2-0, and they fucked it up. New Zealand, this is their 3rd time qualifying. They have not been out of the group stages like Canada, 82 in 2010. They actually tied Italy 1-1. That was a huge one in 2010. And they actually screwed Scotland over. More on Scotland later, but they screwed Scotland in 1982. I'll tell you why when I talk about Scotland. Yeah, Canada 86, they couldn't score one freaking goal. And then 2022, they scored 2, one against Croatia, one against Morocco, but freaking lost. Iran, this is their 7th time. They've actually been worse than Canada. They've been to 6 trips and have not made it past the group stage. 78, 98, 06, 14, 18, 22. So this is their 4th straight kick at the can. Argentina, this is their 19th time qualifying. They've been 3-time winners, including the world champs in 2022. Once upon a time, there used to be the fact that the host country and the defending world champs would get in, but they changed those rules. Uzbekistan, their 1st time qualifying. South Korea, this is their 12th time qualifying. Their best finish was 4th in 2002 when they hosted the event. Of course, everyone hated that in 2002 because of the fact that the whole argy-bargy and like trying to help the home country do well. All that. Japan got screwed over, but Korea didn't. Jordan, this is their 1st time in. Australia, this is their 7th time qualifying. They've been to 2 round of 16s, 06 and 2022, but no quarterfinals. Brazil, they made it in for the 23rd time. They're the only country to have been to every World Cup. 5-time winners, 5-time winners, 58, 62, 78, 94, 2002. Argentina, 78, 86, and 22. Ecuador, this is their 5th time qualifying for the World Cup. They have only been to 1 round of 16 or 1 knockout round. It was 2006. I believe, yeah, England took them out, right? And then England fell to Portugal in the quarters. Uruguay, this is their 15th time qualifying for the tournament. This is their 2nd title. Colombia, this is their 7th time qualifying. Their best finish was quarterfinals 2014, thanks to James Rodriguez's folly in the round of 16. Paraguay, this is their 9th trip to the big dance. Their best finish was the quarterfinals in 2010, shocking a lot of people. Morocco, this is their 7th time in. They took 4th in 2022, becoming the first African nation to get to the semis. Tunisia, this is their 7th time, and they, like Iran, have been snake bit. 78, 98, 02, 06, 18, and 22. They've been to the group stages but have not get past. Egypt, this is their 4th time in. They have not really done well. They've been through group stages in 34, 90, and 2018, but couldn't qualify. Algeria, this is their 5th time. They got to the round of 16 in 2014. Ghana, this is their 5th time in the World Cup. They got to the quarters in 2010 and almost became the first African country to get to the semifinals, but lost to Uruguay controversially. Cape Verde, this is their 1st time. South Africa, this is their 4th time in the World Cup. 98, 2002, and 2010, they got to the group stage. Of course, this is the 1st time since 02 they've qualified for the World Cup. 2010, they were the host country. Qatar, this is their 2nd time in. Of course, the 1st time was as the group, as the host country. England, their 17th time in the World Cup. They won in 1966. Saudi Arabia, this is their 7th time in the World Cup. They've only been to 1 knockout game, round of 16 in 1994, thanks to Saudi Al-One's goal against Belgium. Cote d'Ivoire or Ivory Coast, whatever you want to call it, 4th time in the World Cup. They also have yet to get to the knockout stages. 06, 10, and 14, they were one of the best African nations, and then they've fallen. Senegal, this is their 4th time. Their best finish was 2002 quarterfinals. Like Senegal shocked everyone in 2002 by beating France in the first game of the World Cup, 1-0, Papa Boubou Diop. And then they ended up, what was it? They beat Sweden and then Turkey beat them on the Golden Goal rule. France, 17th time in the World Cup, 2-time winners, 98 and 18. Croatia is in as the 7th time as an independent nation. They're runners-up in 2018 to France. Portugal, their 9th trip to the World Cup. Their best was 3rd place, 1966, next to Eusebio. Norway, this is only their 4th time in the World Cup. They got to 1 knockout game, and that was 1998. Germany, their 21st time as Germany, I guess. They were the winners in 54, 74, 90, and 14. Yeah, 3 of their 4 World Cups in years that end with 4. So I guess they have to wait till 2034 to win the next one. Anyway, Holland, this is their 12th trip. Runners-up in 74, 78, 2010. The most runners-up by a country who have not won a World Cup. Belgique, this is their 15th time in. Their best finish, 3rd place in 2018. Austria, their 8th time in the World Cup. Their best finish was 3rd in 1954, back when they were a powerhouse. Switzerland, this is their 13th time in the World Cup. They've been to 3 quarterfinals, 34, 38, and 54, and they've fallen off a bit. Spain, this is their 17th time in the World Cup. They've been winners in 2010. And Scotland, this is their 9th trip to the big dance, and we'll talk about Scotland's stuff later, obviously. There are, I believe, a few things. Asia, well, Iraq beat the Emirates. Yeah, Qatar and Saudi Arabia won mini groups to qualify. UAE, the Emirates and Iraq faced each other, and Iraq beat the Emirates. So they are now going to the Confederation playoffs in North America. I don't know where they are, but Iraq has a chance to make the World Cup. Ugh. Africa, they had 9 groups and all that. And the Democratic Republic of Congo, the team that in 1974 went to the World Cup as Zaire, they beat Nigeria on penalties. Nigeria beat Gabon in the small playoff. Cameroon losing to DR Congo. Like Cameroon, like, dude, these guys were magical in the 90s. And Nigeria lost on penalties to DR Congo. That's a shock. Nigeria losing to DR Congo? We could see Congo in the playoffs for the first time World Cup since 74, way back in the day. CONCACAF, yeah, they're actually qualifying, right? Yeah, there's actually qualifying matches tonight. Yeah, are they all playing tonight? I think they're all playing tonight. I don't know. Hang on here. Yeah, they play tonight. Yeah, Group A. Suriname leads Panama with 9 points. Suriname plays Guatemala, and Panama plays El Salvador. Suriname wins. They have to hope Panama does not blow out El Salvador. Suriname wins by 1. Panama has to win by 4 to have a chance to sneak in. The winner gets to go to the World Cup. So Suriname could be in the World Cup. All I know about Suriname is that it was where that swimmer from the Olympics in Seoul in 1988 won gold. Or was it silver? I don't remember. But yeah, Panama. That would be a shock if Suriname gets in and Panama doesn't. Group B, Carousel is up by 1 point over Jamaica. They play. Carousel just needs a win or a tie against Jamaica, and they're going to the World Cup. Carousel, known for the Little League Baseball dynasty in the 2000s and all that. They have given Canada fits in the Gold Cup, aka the North American Championships. Jamaica, the Reggae Boys. I don't think they've been to any World Cup since 98. Panama's been to plenty. Group C, Honduras and Haiti. Well, Honduras plays Costa Rica. They need a better result than Haiti versus Nicaragua. Costa Rica can ruin the party against Honduras. Haiti, that would be big because in 74, just like DR Congo, they made the World Cup and all that. And then, well, because of it being North America, right now the second place teams, Jamaica and Panama, would get to the Interconfederational playoffs, meaning Haiti would be screwed. Over. So yeah, they have to play later tonight. Comobol has already done theirs. Bolivia is going to the World Cup, to the Interconfederational playoffs. Oceania, New Zealand wins. They're in the World Cup. New Caledonia will have to go to the Confederation playoffs, and UEFA, they have to actually decide the Confederational playoff and all that. So yeah, so Bolivia, Iraq, and New Caledonia are in intercontinental playoffs. There will be in North America, reportedly in Mexico. So Mexico will get to host these things. There will be 4 matches. There will be 6 teams, and the best 2, based off of FIFA rankings, will get to qualify, and then it'll be second versus sixth, third versus sixth, fourth versus fifth. And then, it'll be single elimination, and the winners will play in the World Cup. All right, so we got that going, and now we got my hair being stupid. All right, so here's how UEFA did it. There were 54 nations, 16 qualifications. So there were 12 groups. Group A saw Germany beat Slovakia by 3 points. Slovakia is into the European playoffs alongside Northern Ireland, thanks to their Nations League performance. Northern Ireland gets a chance, and they have been to the World Cup a few times. 1958, they got to the quarterfinals. 82 and 86, they actually did decently too. Group B, Switzerland beat Kosovo. Kosovo is in the European playoffs alongside Sweden, despite them only have 2 points. Thanks to their Nations League finish, Sweden gets to the thing. I think Slovenia will be ticked off because, Slovenia had more points than Sweden, and they're not going in. Group C, Scotland won qualification, beating Denmark today and practically punching their ticket and putting Denmark into the continental playoffs. Group D, France or in Ukraine will be in the playoffs. Group E, Spain beat Turkey out, so Turkey has to go to the playoffs. Group F, Portugal nipped Ireland, the Republic of Ireland, so Ireland goes to the playoffs. Holland in Group G are going to the World Cup. Poland will be going to the playoffs. Group H, Austria is in over Bosnia, big win for Austria. And Romania, thanks to their Nations League thing, are in the playoff thing too. Group I, Norway beat Italy, was shocked. A lot of people beating Italy twice. Italy will at least have a second chance. Group J, Belgium nipped Wales and Gareth Bale to get that automatic spot. Wales will go to the playoff. North Macedonia as well. North Macedonia, remember, last time against Italy, shocked Italy, and actually helped Portugal get to the World Cup through the playoff thing. Group K, England 8-0 without giving up a goal to either Albania, Serbia, Latvia, or Andorra. And no, that's not the witch from Bewitched. Albania nipped Serbia by a point, shocking a lot of people by going to the playoff. And Group L, Croatia makes the World Cup. Czechia will be going to the playoffs. So the second round, there will be the pool and all that. The seeding pots. So, yeah, it will be... Yes, sir. So, yeah, so Italy, Denmark, Turkey, Ukraine, Poland, Wales, Czechia, Slovakia, Ireland, Albania, Bosnia, Kosovo, Romania, Sweden, North Macedonia, and Northern Ireland will be in the pots and all that. Now for the big part, Scotland. How has Scotland done in the World Cup? Well, when you think Canada sucking and not making it to a knockout stage is hard enough, Scotland has them way worse. In fact, they have a worse mark than Iran or who's that other country? Tunisia. Because Scotland's been to 8 World Cups. And guess how many times they've been to a knockout game? That's right. A big fat 0. Or as they say in Animal House, 0.0. That's right. Scotland has never been to the World Cup. I gotta remember the video I posted. Hang on here. Search across my channel. Okay, so let's see. Scotland. Yeah. So I'll give you a link in the chat. So yeah, I did a video about Scotland and how they have been to so many World Cups, but they have never won a trip to the knockout stages. So this is how Scotland's role has been. So in 1950, Scotland got admitted to FIFA. And FIFA said that the two teams in the British Home Championship, which was a big thing with the four British home nations, that'd be England, Wales, Scotland, and Northern Ireland, not the Republic of Ireland, would get play each other for bragging rights. But the top two would make it to the World Cup. Scotland would have made the World Cup because they took second to England. But because Scotland said, we're not going to the World Cup unless we win the whole damn thing. Unfortunately, though, the Scotland Football Association stood by their proclamation. So anyway, yeah. And then the 1954 World Cup qualification, it was the British Home Championship. And Scotland took second place. This time, the Football Federation said you can. Preparation was atrocious, and they only sent 13 players to Switzerland instead of the normal 22. They were allowed 22 people. The worst part was that the dignitaries' travel numbers are accompanied by their wives, whereas they could have brought more players. Scotland lost to Austria in their first game in Switzerland. The worst part was Scotland decided to wear button-up blue shirts, thinking Switzerland was going to be cold. But Switzerland were blistering in 90-degree Fahrenheit heat. So the team manager actually resigned before the game against Uruguay, and Uruguay beat up on Scotland 7-0. Scotland got into the 1958 World Cup, and they actually tied Yugoslavia, but then lost to Paraguay and France. So there was no surprise about 1958 how terrible Scotland was and all that. Matt Busby actually would have been the manager, but because of the Munich air disaster, he wasn't dead, but he had massive injuries. Dawson Walker had to take charge of the team instead. In the 1960s, they did beat England in 1967 at Wembley Stadium, but that was not for a World Cup berth. In 1974, they got to the World Cup in West Germany. They actually beat Zaire 2-0. And then they tied Brazil and Yugoslavia. The worst part was, well, of course, I'm paraphrasing. The worst part was because they actually didn't make it to the next round on goal differential. Brazil nipped them. Yugoslavia were top of the group because they had a lot of goal. They had the best goal differential. And then it was Brazil and Brazil and Scotland. But because Brazil beat Zaire 3-0 and Zaire only lost 2-0 to Scotland, Brazil beat them on goal differential. Then Ellie McLeod came in, and Scotland were top 10 in the nation, in the world. So there was a lot of enthusiasm and all that. They went on Top of the Pops, the big music countdown thing, and sang Ali's Tartan Army. Nevertheless, they went to Argentina, played Peru, and shockingly lost to Peru 3-1, and then tied with Iran. I mean, to lose to Peru is one thing, but you tie freaking Iran? Scotland would have to beat the Dutch by 3 clear goals. Thankfully, though, the Dutch actually kind of rested some of their players because, they were in the next round no matter what. Scotland actually won the game 3-2. Sadly, though, they gave up a late goal because they were up 3-1 and almost had a chance. But no. Gemmell did score a great goal. But on goal differential, they fumbled. I mean, come on. If you had beaten freaking Iran, you would have been fine. But then maybe the Dutch would have played to win against the Scots. In the 1980s, McLeod resigned as manager shortly after 1978, and Jacques Stein was appointed as their successor. They got to the 1982 World Cup, even though they had a tough group with Sweden, Portugal, Israel, and Northern Ireland. Northern Ireland qualified as well. They beat New Zealand 5-2. Great. But then lost to Brazil 4-1 and then tied the Soviets 2-2. Not bad, 1-1. But the worst part was, again, Scotland fell on goal differential. Brazil, there's no doubt, was going to win the group. But Scotland lost on goal differential to the Russians. Why? Because for some rinky-dinky reason, they gave up 2 goals to New Zealand. If they had not given up any goals to New Zealand, they would have beaten the Russians on goal differential. But the Kiwis scored 2 goals, meaningless in most circles, but it screwed Scotland over. They got to the 1986 World Cup. Scotland tied Wales. So they got to play a qualifying playoff against Australia, which they did. Unfortunately, though, Jock Stein did suffer a heart attack after the Wales game, and Alex Ferguson took over. Fergie, Man U guy, yes. Scotland got beaten up by Denmark and Germany, West Germany. Well, West Germany is hard enough, but Denmark? Yep, Jesper Olsen and the Landrup brothers. Scotland actually could have qualified for third place as one of those third place teams to qualify if they had beaten Uruguay. But Uruguay purposely put the studs to Scotland and had a goalless tie, which put Scotland out of it. So Scotland actually finished second in their qualifying group, beating France, which was shocking because, France was decent. And years prior were a force in the 80s. Scotland was drawn with Costa Rica, Sweden, and Brazil. So Scotland pretty much would have second place in the bag, you think. Then they lost to Costa Rica, of all teams. Like, Costa Rica beat them. I mean, how can you freaking lose to Costa Rica? This is Iran all over again. And then they beat Sweden. Okay, so they probably would have lost to Sweden and beat Costa Rica fair. But then Brazil, all Scotland had to do was go 0-0, and they would have snuck in for third place. But all of a sudden, they lost 1-0, and they were eliminated. And then in 1994, they failed to make the World Cup. Well, they had a tough group with Italy, Switzerland, and Portugal ahead of them. Scotland went to a couple of Euros, but in 1998, the last time they went to the World Cup, they actually pulled it off. Scotland played Brazil in the first match of the 1988 World Cup, and they actually were tied 1-1, but then there was an own goal embarrassment, and they lost 2-1. They tied Norway 1-1. You tie Norway, of all freaking people. And then Morocco, they got whipped by the Moroccans 3-0. So, of course, Scotland have had their things and all that. So, of course, they beat Denmark. They're now in the World Cup as we speak and all that. So now the question on everyone's lips is, will Scotland finally get a knockout game? Now, they're going to have a little bit of a good chance because of the 48 teams. There's going to be 6. There were supposed to be 16 groups of 3, and the top 2 teams would qualify, but they were thinking about collusion. So they said, fuck that. No. We're going to have 12 groups of 4, and it will be the top 2 teams in each group and the top 8 third-place teams to sneak in. So basically akin to 86, 90, and 94 with that kind of format. Will Scotland pull it out this time? Maybe, maybe not. We don't know. Do we care? I don't know. Anyhow, I'm Jeff Diamond. Adieu right now.